Yeah. But that's the hurdle I face with New Zealand, you know. If I go back there, maybe I'd work in a restaurant or something like that, or
it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I've been teaching for 9 years. You know, I feel like, you know, like
right, and that's what we would face as well. Going back to the States, Aaron would have to get a certification. I would have to go back and because I haven't.
No, it all depends on the state.
True, but I would have to go back
and Mississippi
and get,
like right now.
yeah.
So you can still teach in the States, like you can.
Well, it depends on the state.
Depends on the state, because every state has a different rule.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Mississippi is the lowest in the country. Mississippi is the lowest state.
It's like the worst.
The worst education.
The worst place.
See, that's
right now,
that's
he could be your English teacher in
Mississippi. And he'd be probably a pretty good English teacher. In Mississippi,
oh, God.
He uses words that they don't understand already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
that's so funny.
Could I teach in Mississippi?
Yes.
I could?
Probably.
But you wouldn't want to.
Well,
no, just because you know English.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They don't speak English in Mississippi.
Would they understand me in Mississippi? Probably not.
No, your English is far above those living in Mississippi.
Except for Kathleen was from Mississippi.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
She was here. Think about that. She was not in Mississippi.
When I met her and she told me that, I was floored that she was from there. Yeah. Because I was like, are you sure? Mm-hmm. But she also came from a very affluent family.
Oh, that's so funny.
And that makes the difference. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Mississippi is basically in the United States when people start to compare
Chipmunk has this
educational systems.
Right.
I didn't know that.
There's like the top of the heap. Usually it's like
Vermont, Massachusetts.
Okay, so it's like these northeastern places. These are the top places that, you know, for education for students in the country.
Right.
Then there's the bottom. Everybody disagrees. Mississippi.
This one.
It's that bad.
It's so funny, but if you listen to educators talk, they're always trying to be somewhere between like Vermont and Mississippi, and they don't want to be on the bottom end.
Yeah.
Mississippi is bad. What they used to say in Michigan was that an 8th grade education in Michigan was the same as a 12th grade education in Mississippi. That's how bad it was.
And depending on the district, it could be a 6th grade education in Mississippi. Is the equivalent to an 8th grade education.
Switch it around.
Yeah, switch it
around.
Yeah.
Because no.
6th grade in Michigan and 12th grade in Mississippi.
Okay.
That's how different it is. Because remember, every state in the United States has its own educational system.
Right.
That's why in Texas they can have textbooks that negate slavery inside of the United States.
They say they're immigrants.
Oh, I see. Really?
They chose.
They chose to come.
Like indentured servants, they made everybody indentured servants in Texas. Not in Texas, but in the history books for the 13 colonies in the United States, that everybody came as indentured servants. So the people that came that were African came as indentured servants. They did not come against their will.
Right, they chose to come. And that's Texas.
That's Texas. That's Texas's part of their state-approved textbooks.
Jeez.
So every state makes its own rules.
And just like in that same textbook, Native Americans chose to relocate.
Oh.
Right, because they weren't pushed off their land.
Right.
So every state is like a separate. They have separate policies, separate history.
They can be.
That they write themselves.
Yep.
But they also have.
They fabricate.
Yeah.
Well, okay, if you take a state like Texas. Texas was a country before it was a state. And people don't realize that. It's the only state in the United States that was its own country first. Not Mexico. It was Mexico, then Texas, then Mexico, then the United States. But Texas was a country first.
And that's why they're very staunch about. I'm from Texas.
Yes.
You know.
Because being from Texas actually meant you were from another country.
Yeah.
Right.
Texas first American second.
Yep.
That's why people say it's like a whole different.
It's a whole
It's a
different
whole
world.
different planet down there.
So there are those differences inside of the United States.
Yeah.
And an aunt and an uncle.
Do you remember Sebastian was telling us he met a Texan girl and she had a tattoo of the Texas flag.
Right.
And he thought it was the flag of Chile or something because it's similar. Was it Peru
yes,
or Chile? Which one is it?
Yeah.
Chile or Peru? I don't know which one.
Yeah.
It resembles one of the countries in South America.
Yeah.
And he's South American and he
Yeah.
messed it up and he said, "Oh, you're from
Chile.
And she was like, "Hell no, I'm
Texas.
from Texas."
Yeah.
And he was a bit taken aback.
Yeah.
He was like, okay. Yeah.
They're different.
Texas is
They're
a
different
whole.
breed.
She was insulted that he
Oh yeah.
was
Oh, of
South
course.
American.
Yeah.
And he was South American, you know. He's like, oh,
Yep.
yeah.
But being
I
from
wanna go with
Texas
I'm not American.
means
I'm from Texas.
I wanna
That's
go to
right.
South America.
I'm from Texas.
And you can speak Spanish.
I can't speak Spanish. I'm trying to learn
She
Spanish.
can speak Dora.
I can speak Dora. Do you know Dora? the
Yes, I
Explorer?
know Dora.
I can speak
Explorer.
Dora.
That's good.
Dora the
Yeah.
Explorer.
Dora taught me a lot.
Dora. It's Dora.
You know
Dora the
Dora-
Explorer. That's a cartoon.
Oh, okay.
You know they have a Chinese version.
No, what's it
For
called?
they teach American kids Chinese. It's called Ni Hao Kai Lan,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and that came out way after these guys had stopped watching Dora.
Dora the Explorer.
But Two got his first computer
You love
when he was
some
about
Dora, boy.
16, 17 months old.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to watch football on Sundays, and he wanted to watch Dora,
Dora.
and I wasn't going to give up football.
For Dora.
So I went downstairs and I said, "Aaron, you have to fix this now." He wants to watch Dora, and he just said, "Okay," and got up and went upstairs and gave him his own computer and put on Dora, and I could watch football.
That's American football, not soccer.
Yes. Got
Because
that.
nobody watches soccer in America.
I did, but
Soccer
not
game
like I do.
comes on just so you can go to bed.
Honestly, I don't think soccer games come on.
They do too.
They come on ESPN. They don't come on
ESPN too.
anywhere else. See? They don't even come on the main sports channel. They come on the main sports channel's second channel.
I think
Yeah,
your
that's
issue-
how popular football is, or soccer in America.
I think your issue with arguing is you help the other person.
Right.
You're supposed to be defending your own point.
I watched soccer
Thank
because
you.
I played it.
Yeah, soccer's a good sport.
It is? I didn't even know it
Take my word
existed.
for it.
Is it still going?
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched soccer admittedly for a long time.
You can't watch it in China because
I
you
don't
just
watch it.
you just want to hit.
Even Chinese people don't like the Chinese soccer team.
because they're horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch
How can you have so many people and such a bad soccer team?
Yeah.
How does
They're
that even
also so
happen?
Emaciated and
No. But think about it.
ugh.
Think about it. In this
stamina.
country, they should be able to field one good team that plays basketball. They should be able to field one good team that plays soccer. Because, honestly, you have enough people to choose from.
a small percentage
Yes.
of genius football.
How many people on a football team? Soccer team.
11.
11 people. You're telling me in 1 billion people can't field an 11-person team of actually good players.
They're still looking for them.
Think about that.
Scouring the country.
With all the money that they've got,
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
the economic boom as well, funding and all that.
Just like they should be able to field one good basketball team. Even if they're all, I mean, you're honestly, they should be able to field a team of guys that are almost as tall as Yao Ming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're only talking about 10 guys
Yep.
Yeah.
in a whole country.
You've got to scour the country and find 10
Yep.
Yao Ming
Yep.
equivalents.
Yep.
Was
And
Yao
then,
Ming a good player?
yes.
Yes, he was good.
actually good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've always wondered that.
In the
Was he
NBA
a freak of the nature, or was he actually good?
Yeah.
No,
was
he
good.
wasn't just tall.
Yeah.
He was tall and he had some skills.
Yeah.
The difference is he played the game a different way.
Yeah.
He played like a Chinese person, which means he got dominated by guys that were 3/4 his height.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the problem that Yao Ming had.
Yeah.
He was playing the game thinking it. I guess he was approaching the game like a Chinese person, not approaching the game like a poor black guy who has who. You know what I just thought of? I just thought about Hans and his no daddy niggas. He's not approaching the game like a guy who has everything on the line financially and they have to win. He's not approaching the game that way. And he's not looking at the game like a guy who wins because of his particular ego. Okay? He's approaching the game like it's a game. And see, for a lot of us, even me, if I go and play against Suvina right now on the court, right over here, and play basketball against her, I am going to try to beat her. And I'm going to try to beat her so bad that she never wants to play me again.
That you break.
Play the game because it is just that serious for me. For most people in America that play basketball, that's how serious it is. Yao Ming never had that. He never had the anger. He never had the fear. He never had that American-style competitiveness, that win at any cost.
For him, it was just more novelty.
Yeah, it was a game.
I'm the Chinese
Yeah,
representative of
yeah.
that game.
And I'm the game. I'm playing, and he played for a good team, and he had good people around him. But like I said, you had him at 7'1", 7'2", and you had a guy that was 6'6" that could jump over his ass and dunk on his head and make him look terrible. And he just never really got the fact that that's what was happening. But then when Shaquille O'Neal stood next to him, and he was 2 inches taller than Shaquille made him look terrible because he was going to dominate him physically. And that's the thing that I always talk about inside of China since I've been here. All these freaking 5-foot kids that run around act like they're gonna play basketball abroad. It's like, guys, you're not gonna play basketball because you don't understand. I had one student in Wuhan. Now he had that kind of killer instinct, so to speak. He really wanted to be a good player. But he's out there with a 40-some-year-old guy. He could not get around me. And I kept telling him, this is why you can't play in the United States. I am not in the NBA. I never played college basketball. All I ever played was high school basketball. Guess what? You can't beat me. What makes you think you're going to play against guys who can jump over both of us? And then we're the same height.
Yeah.
At the same time while doing.
You know what I mean? That's the difference. I watched a guy. I'm 5'9", 5'10" on a good day in my tennis shoes. I watched a guy when I was a freshman in high school. He was about 2 or 3 inches shorter than me. I watched him run by me, jump, and dunk on guys that were the tall guys on our team.
Right.
That was Philadelphia. That was the place where he came from. You really think that these kids are... I mean, they always talk about what's his name? That played for the Knicks from...
Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, they always talk about him. FYI, not Chinese.
He's American.
He's American.
Yeah.
But that drive that we have when it comes to sports,
He was born in the U.S.
they don't have here. Now, they might have it inside of the sports schools.
Yeah.
But that means all of the people like us, like where we teach in the public schools, none of those kids will ever play sports in China because they're not going to sports schools.
Yeah.
Just like in Russia, they have special schools for sports.
Yeah.
And dance.
Whereas we don't have special schools. We have 0 special schools for sports. All of our sports people, they all come from regular old high schools. Either public, private, parochial, it doesn't matter. They're coming from high school. And they have to climb through those ranks in order to get to university, then on to the NBA or the professional ranks. So it's a different thing. It's a different idea that I have to be really good at this game or I don't continue on as a university student. See, they don't have that. Okay? I have to be really good at this game or my mama loses her house.
Yeah.
See, and no, they've never understood that side of
Right,
of-
I have to
of
be good
our
at this game, or
sports.
I'm going to go back and be forced to join a gang.
exactly.
They don't.
Do you know a New Zealand player by any chance in NBA? He's a
I
famous
don't.
New Zealand Kiwi guy. He got in trouble like a year ago or something because he called a bunch of people monkeys or something. In America, that's offensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
like in
on
New
a
Zealand, it's
basketball.
not offensive. Like a monkey. I tell my kids, you guys are a bunch of monkeys.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a big cultural thing.
yeah.
In New Zealand, it's completely normal. We don't have the same.
Race.
Yes,
Yeah,
racial-
but have you seen an American
connotations.
basketball team?
Yeah.
A lot of them look like you guys,
Yeah.
and that's not a cool thing to call black
Yeah.
people monkeys.
Because
That's a great way to
it
get
was on the news.
shit
My friend
changed.
sent it to me. He's like, he was a good player apparently. Like I don't know. Which,
Did he lose
which
his job?
NBA team. No, not at all.
No.
But
He explained the differences
it was
though.
on the news, and they said, and a lot of New Zealand people stood up for him and said,
Yeah.
no, in our culture we don't have.
Well, I
much
guess
of
We don't.
I
have
bet you
any
he'll
racial-
never
Bet
say
you
it
won't do it
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like normal. Like
When we were
it's a common thing to say during the night. Oh, you bunch of monkeys.
when we were in Thailand, one of the students, we had talked about slavery I was the history teacher.
Yeah.
So we had talked about slavery in the history class, and one of the students was Chinese mother, South African father,
Mm.
and he called two slave.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, slave, do this for me." And two lost it. He was like, "Don't ever call me that again."
Yeah.
You know, but the child knew what he was saying. So when it came time to talk to the parents about it, who just happened to be my bosses, they were like, "Oh, you're making too much of a big deal about it. He calls us that at home." I was like, "It's not too much of a big deal. We had talked about this.
Yeah.
We talked about slavery. We talked about how it affected our culture and affects, our family." And he knew exactly what he was doing. Next day, the Russian student called Aaron a nigger in class. And our son lost his mind and choked the boy.
Huh?
You choked him.
I didn't choke anybody.
What did you do?
Nobody called me that.
Jan called you that, and then he stabbed you in the eye when you were choking him.
You heard a different story than what happened.
That's what the teacher told me.
That's not what happened. He didn't stab
What
me.
happened?
Well,
I went and
I had to have a meeting with the student and the teacher and the owners of the school because of this incident.
he was upset at me for. I tossed him something when he wasn't looking when I thought he was, and he got upset and threw something at my face.
And when did he call you the nigger?
He didn't.
That's not what I was told by the teachers.
And they misheard, because that's not what happened.
Okay then. Well, that whole meeting was a waste of time.
you heard a different story, eh?
Yeah. And maybe he said it and Aaron didn't hear him, but I know that there was a fight and Aaron was.
I didn't choke anybody.
You did
I
beat
hit-
someone with a
I hit
paper.
Lee with a roll of papers like a bad dog, but that was about it.
Same student. And then we pulled the children from school.
That was like the tipping point.
No.
No.
It was when I went to my bosses and said, the textbook is incorrect.
Right.
This is wrong information. And they
Right.
said, okay, it's no big deal. Just teach it anyway. But it's not right. I know it's not right because I lived through this. This isn't right. It's wrong. And they said, it's okay. Just teach it. That's what the book says. So the book is right.
Oh.
They were from.
South Africa and China. And I was teaching American history. And I was teaching about 9/11.
Okay.
And they wanted me to teach incorrect information, even though I showed them that it was incorrect information.
What was the incorrect information?
Something about how the bombing, that there were bombs in the World Trade Center instead of a plane that had crashed, and
Bombs in.
the bombs in the World Trade Center on 9/11 instead of the planes crashing in, and how bombs had been set off at the White House, and
Oh my.
and it was just awful.
Oh.
So I was like, I can't do this. I can't teach in good conscience. This is wrong.
Yeah.
Yep. I got reprimanded for teaching about World War II, and we had, the classroom was very small, but we had students from, it was literally an international school, so we had a Japanese student, a German student, a Russian student, not in that classroom. One was Indian and Thai mixed, and then the South African Chinese mixed child, and then an American child. And I had to teach about World War II, which makes it very difficult.
Right.
And so I taught about Pearl Harbor, and I just gave all the facts. I didn't put any emotion into it, just gave the facts. And in it, of course, I'm teaching about how the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in the morning, and all these sailors died in bed. And the next day I got called into a meeting before school started because I had lied about what happened at Pearl Harbor. And the Japanese mother was pissed off and had written a letter saying that that's not what happened, that Japan had warned the United States ahead of time that they were going to come and bomb them. And so they had plenty of time to empty the ships, and that the ships had no people on them when they were bombed, and nobody died, and nobody was injured. And it just happened
died.
That very moment, literally that very moment, my brother happened to be at Pearl Harbor with my niece. And so I said, could you please send me some pictures? Send me the pictures of the memorials that you took today. Send these things. And I used them in the classroom. And I was like, I'm not going to teach lies. If she wants to be upset, she can be upset.
Yeah.
But this is the fact. Thousands of men died in their sleep.
Yeah, but the other side of that is there's a whole boat
They're
underwater that they're still inside of. They never got out. They never took the bodies out.
They're still
It's a
there.
giant tomb sitting there. The Arizona is still under the water.
And my brother sent me pictures of the Arizona, and I said, listen, these men are still here. They're still in the water. You can't tell me that they aren't. Here's the proof.
That's just terrible, though.
Yep.
I mean, I as a history teacher, I mean, come on now.
You have to teach the
It's just
facts.
like, it's, you know what's funny about that? It's like, I've got this book it's okay as a history book. It's okay. But it puts ancient Hebrew history up as fact, but then in the book, it keeps saying in the Torah, which means that it's not fact.
No,
and it's their version of history, but it's not. Really? God talked to Moses? Really?
No.
That's what you're telling me? That's the facts? These are the facts? I mean, you know, Sergeant Friday, these are the facts, ma'am? Come on. Just the facts? Really?
No.
No. This is what they believe. Okay, fine. But you got to present it as their belief system. It's their belief. Okay. I'm not going to argue that. I'm going to argue whether it's fact or not. You know, and in America, we've thrown away the idea of trying to teach other people's myths, other people's ideas. So we call Greek and Roman myths. We call, Egyptian myth.
Celtic myth.
Right. All of those are
Norse
myth. But then when you get to Israel, then all of a sudden it's, well, what do we call that? Well, that's just how it's reported in the Bible or how it's reported in the Torah. It's like, guys, FYI, myth, because it existed before them. Most of these stories are older than these people. Yeah. That's the fact. But our history doesn't teach it. So then my book, sitting here in China, my book is this Christianized version of history. So I sit there with these kids, it's like, guys, this is not fact. And I put it on the board real big every year. This is not fact. This is what their version of history is, and that's how you have to look at it. Now, is it important? Sure, because it is the basis for this whole other culture that's going to come about later on. Right. Western culture is going to be based on this stuff. Yeah. But is it fact? No. Now, I'm waiting for the child to wake up one day and say, so you're saying Western culture is not based on facts? It's like, yes! Damn it! I've been waiting for you. You know, but they this idea that the book
Right,
the-
national retardation.
well, they have an idea that the book,
It's right.
if it's a book, it has to be inherently right. Not realizing that, no, that's not how books work.
Yeah.
Even our dictionaries don't work that way. And I've done that with our students. You guys should do it too. Take like 5 different dictionaries from 5 different writers. Look up the words and find the definitions. They will not be the same. Dictionaries are documents of prejudice. So that means every dictionary written by
Individual people.
10, no, it's like 10, 20 different people in a group that writes a dictionary. And I heard some podcast of somebody talking about dictionaries. They were like one of the people who did dictionaries. It might actually have been a TED Talk. And they explained, this is our version of the dictionary. It's not necessarily true because this is our consensus on these words or on these topics. But you go to the next dictionary, it may not be that way. So you get nuance, you get differences between them. And as an English teacher, we had to use multiple dictionaries
Right.
when we looked up stuff to try to
still
understand
do.
the language and the culture behind that language. Whereas these kids, they have one dictionary, usually it's fucking British, and then they take that dictionary thinking that's the only thing. It's like, no, that's just one of many versions, because you take any word and you're going to find many different ways to describe what that word actually means. And then you have how we actually use it, which may not even be in the dictionary. So,
That would be more in like an urban dictionary.
well, but an urban dictionary has one way of thinking. What the
Right,
problem that
slang.
I have is what happens when it's how we actually say it, how we actually use it inside of any one of these cultures that uses English as a main language. Because it's not the same thing. You got your fag in one place, a fag in another place. It's not the same thing. I'm watching.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
my
yeah,
friend-
but wait. I'm watching Wizard of Oz, and the lion says he doesn't want to be a sissy. What does that mean? That means something totally different to us.
Yes.
We'd say it won't.
Yeah, but a sissy for us was someone who
Used
was
to be.
gay.
Yeah, it used to be a fag.
See, that's the different connotations.
Right.
Like the,
Yep.
like the basketball player.
Yep.
Same thing. Like in New Zealand society.
Right.
I caught you, someone who's playing out, acting a fool.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
say, you guys acting like a monkey.
Monkey.
We would say that to our kids in class. You're
Right.
acting like a bloody monkey.
Right.
But in America, it's got a completely different.
Yes,
like, it seems
yes.
like it has a
Well,
completely
especially
different
inside of a place where there are lots of black people, you don't call anybody a monkey.
No.
Because we were treated as well. Okay, think of it this way: if men and women in the world are descended from apes, and now I'm a monkey, you've now lowered me lower than the ape that humans were descended from. Right. So when you think about that, you are saying something. You know, you're lower than an ape.
Yeah. So it has a completely different connotation.
Right. Yep.
Very different idea.
Well, I had a friend who was British, and he used to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go for a fag," and he happened to be gay, and so every time he would say it, I would giggle, and he just looked at me and said, "Those double entendres get you every time, don't they?" And I'm like, "They do. I loved it."
In New Zealand, it's completely acceptable. Like we still say that.
Yeah, he
So I'm gonna go
he
for a
said it
fag.
too.
How many fag? Can I grab a fag? But no, but I know, but that one because of
Don't say that in
No.
America.
it's completely normal. Better and I. No one would say anything in New Zealand. If you
Right,
said that.
right, right.
But it's only because I know because American cultural imperialism
Yeah.
that I understand what your meaning
Yep.
of fag is. You know, and I understand most young New Zealanders know.
Yeah.
What it means.
Aaron
You
will
know
say-
the joke, but-
Aaron says all the time, "So, what does this word mean?" Like, if he's watching something British, he'll pause it and he'll say, "What does this mean?" And the other day he said, they use cheers to say like thanks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, when did that start? Who does that?
That's very normal.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
saying.
but no, it was not. What was it? It wasn't. Was it cheers as gratitude?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
cheers.
yeah.
It's gratitude. Like
Yeah.
thanks. Like cheers.
If somebody gives you anything, you say cheers.
Yeah.
You'd sooner say
Right.
cheers than
Right.
thanks, and you
Yeah,
say-
Okay,
yeah.
now
So
in
cheers, mate,
all
cheers.
of the things that I've ever seen, movies, mostly movies, or even in British TV shows, they never used cheers in that way.
It would be like a goodbye or something.
They would say thank you.
Yeah.
So then, all of a sudden, this guy said it and was like, whoa, where did that come from? It's like, why would you? And then I looked it up in the Oxford English Dictionary, and it was like, this was an older way of using that word.
Right.
And it's kind of fallen out, but that's an older way of
You know
using
what
it.
the funny thing is, because New Zealand and Australia, our English that we use is often older.
Older.
Mm.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
England has already gone
Progressed.
past that, progressed,
Yep.
but Australia and New Zealand,
Yep.
they're still
Old
using
school.
But
18th century English.
Yeah,
You know? We
yeah.
still say cheers.
Yep.
We still say
Ireland does as well.
Yep.
We watch some Irish TV, so Ireland does as well.
Yep.
So it's really funny sometimes when it'll bleed into British TV, and you're just like, I see. But for me, because we watch so much, the children and I watch so much British stuff, it's just normal. Aaron will pause and be like, what does this mean?
Yeah, like when you were watching the thing about 2000 AD and they were saying our comic books were doing like this. They were
Yeah,
saying
like
few
the-
words and
the
stuff,
two
and we were like,
fingers.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
two
yeah,
finger
he's like,
thing.
what is this? And I'm like, like up yours.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
fuck
but
you.
okay. Now see, this is where I have a problem culturally with British people. Because when you think about that for a moment, see, for us,
Yeah.
we have one finger, middle finger.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
This woman we were just talking about just lost her job for doing this to the president of the United States.
Yep.
Just lost her
She's
job
riding
in America.
her bike. His motorcade comes
Free
by,
speech. Keep that in mind.
flips him off.
The
lost
land
her
of
job.
free speech
Yeah.
in America.
Not so free.
Oh no.
Free speech, just watch what you say. Now,
Yeah.
one finger. Why do British people have a way of saying up yours, which means up your ass, but they're using two fingers? Think about that for a minute.
What person has
Why would you be thinking about putting two fingers up another guy's ass?
I've never really thought about it.
See? That's where I have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this totally from a hetero. Let's look at this from a hetero point of view. A totally hetero point of view.
Remove my pants.
Wait.
Bend over.
Okay, so totally hetero point of view.
Yeah.
A woman hasn't had a whole lot of sex. How many fingers are you going with?
The one.
One. Why? Are you, as an insult,
Going 2 fingers deep.
2 fingers deep on another guy?
You're calling him a fag.
But are you? You're the one doing it.
Yeah. You're calling yourself a fag.
See, here's the problem I have with British people. Up
I
yours.
want to do that.
Does it? I don't know. I would never say that.
I'm not English.
Yeah.
you do that,
It's
though?
such a weird thing.
But it's old, you know.
Yeah.
See?
No one does that anymore.
When you think, it's so many things. I said to my kids a couple days ago that they're at the beginning of setting up British colonies in America in history class. And I told them, if you study English history, you will see how England, she loves it when I do this, you will see how England has destroyed the world. If you look at it,
It's affected both of you.
if you look at all around the world how England, this tiny little island,
Yeah.
destroyed the entire world single-handedly.
Yep.
Okay? And they kind of look at me like, what does that even mean? But as they study, they will begin to see, because they couldn't understand when I did the illustration the other day. I told them the British came in and then they displaced or removed the native population. So the Native American gets pushed out, and they didn't understand it. So I walked over to one student and I looked at him in his face, right in his face. Get up. So he stands up. Walk over there. Your desk is now mine. And then I walked to the next student in line. Get up, walk over there. And I kept doing this, and I just marched across the classroom, and eventually all the students were pushed into the corner, and I had all their desks. And then they got the idea of what these people were, a small idea, of what these people might have been feeling when the British came in and took this land that they considered as their part of their territory, their land, and they just pushed them right out of the way. And England has done this so many times, and even in China, they've done it so many times in so many countries all over the world, and then they've walked in with the Bible. Native population had the land, and as soon as they left, the native population had the Bible, and they had the land. How many times has that happened in the world by one nation?
Yeah. Well, they're good at that.
So I mean, you got to.
They're like a virus.
They don't understand that Chinese students. They don't get that idea, because for them, empire was essentially only inside China.
Yeah.
They never saw empire as taking over other places like they're trying to do now with. We're going to take over Taiwan for real. We're going to take over Hong Kong for real, Macau for real, and then we're going to reach out into water and take anything around. Yeah, that thing.
Tibet, don't forget
Yeah,
Tibet.
and Tibet. So all of those things, that's kind of like a, from I guess from Chinese point of view, is a reconquering of land and area, but they don't have a concept of empire like the British Empire.
No.
Because they've been so closed off. And China, yeah.
But it is amazing that when you look at England, people around the world speak English because of this Germanic tribed country.
Yeah. And we're all a product of it.
Yep, and we're all a product of it.
You can't escape that. Us maybe more than you guys. but-
Not.
What are you talking about? Her grandmother's fucking
My
British.
grandmother was English. I mean,
Well,
Their great grandmother is
I mean,
freaking British.
I mean, America was able to.
we kicked them out.
Yeah.
They're still pissed off about that, you know.
Yeah.
I
we
like
didn't.
England has this ancestry visa thing.
Yeah.
You can get an ancestry
Yeah.
visa where, for 5 years. You can
Yeah.
live and work in
Yeah.
England.
Right.
I don't qualify
Yeah.
Because
I'm American.
Yep.
They're still pissed off.
That's the
I
way
mean,
it
my
is.
grandmother, like I lived with my grandmother.
Yeah.
She practically raised me, and I don't qualify.
oh.
I have marriage proof, and I have it all,
Yeah.
and we don't qualify because I'm an American.
America.
Whereas we do.
You do,
New
yeah,
Zealand does.
Yeah.
We still have the Queen on our money. That's
right.
Yeah.
And England or Canada
Yeah,
does,
Canada. Yeah.
and Australia.
Yeah. But they are getting strict on it now. Stricter even for us, colonies. Like
Yeah.
Australia and New Zealand, they've changed policy. It's not so easy for me to get that, the way you're talking about.
Right.
I can get that. My grandfather was born in England, and recently they changed that.
Well, that's the
It's
whole
not so easy. I can't
yeah,
remember what they changed.
the
About
Brexit stuff too.
Yeah,
They're making
yeah.
it much more
Yeah.
difficult.
closing the borders a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Hmm.
That's why my friends were telling me, they're saying,
Right.
Kyle, like you're running out of your age and all that. Like,
Yeah.
It's not so easy for us Kiwis to. Too many of us have gone over.
Right.
And England's trying to close the borders.
Well, my cousins, I have cousins that are in Australia and New Zealand, and their parents were born in England and then emigrated. So I don't even know, and they're like grandfathers, like great grandfathers. I don't know if they could go back
Yeah.
and get citizenship again.
Yeah.
You're full.
You guys are done.
But I would love to go and get citizenship, or like at least a visa for 5 years.
Right.
You guys should consider New Zealand. You were telling me about
Yeah,
these
yeah.
jobs, or like a lot of teaching jobs.
Yeah.
I've
If you
actually
can get
looked
one.
into it.
Yeah,
I'd like to go to New Zealand.
it's beautiful. Beautiful country.
I want to go visit the Shire because I'm a nerd.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hobbiton.
Hobbiton.
Just
Hobbiton. Go to Hobbit
You'll
Town.
love it.
I want to go
New
live
Zealand-
there.
You know, like New Zealand is an amazing country. I'm not just saying it because I'm biased and I'm from there. Actually, I couldn't wait to get out of it. But after traveling with so when I was young, I couldn't wait to get out. It was, you know, when you're young, it's so quiet and boring. But what I was saying to Aaron, like, if you want to get away from people and annoying people, New Zealand's the best place. You only see people when you need to see them, and people are just so relaxed and
Sign me up, man.
and nice there, and it's
Polite.
like I would go back. You know, like there's a lot of times you say, "No, I wouldn't go back to that." I would absolutely go home. We go every summer. We now spend in New Zealand. It's paradise. Honestly, the closest I've been to paradise. But it's just like I said, jobs and things like that. That's
Yeah.
the only thing. There's a catch. It's the economy is.
And the cost of living. as
Yeah,
well.
it's expensive country. It's expensive to
Yeah.
live. Surprisingly expensive. Things cost a lot of money. It's not a place you can live cheap and do nice things, but it's a job. So if you can get a job, even relatively mediocre job in New Zealand, you'll love it. It's a great place.
Yeah, but I don't want to struggle anymore.
Yeah. And that's
I'm too old for that
Same.
nonsense.
That's what I feel.
And that's the thing. Like in New Zealand, you have to take it down a notch. You have to like maybe do whatever job you can do, and you won't be wealthy. You won't have a lot of money, like disposable income. You'll be living, you know, I wouldn't say paycheck to paycheck. It's not like that, but you wouldn't save a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't want that anymore.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
New Zealand is quite expensive.
No, but it both is
Going out for restaurants and everything is expensive. You can't do it.
Well,
all
we
the
don't
time.
do
You
that
have to cook at
anyway.
home. You have to. No one can afford to go out and eat all the time. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to be very disciplined, I think.
I feed a vegan. I cook from
Then
scratch.
You'll
3
be
meals a
fine.
day.
You'll be
Yeah.
fine. I think you guys would really like New Zealand.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't snow.
Yeah.
Aaron doesn't care where we go. He doesn't want snow.
And in fact, a lot of Americans are now going to New Zealand.
Yeah, we met.
Like I've met quite a few. They now go. They want
But
to
do
go
they
to
do the
America.
work holiday thing, or because we're too old for
To
that?
be honest, most of the Americans that I've met in New Zealand are retirees.
Retirees.
Oh.
Like they've made their money and they're sick of the rat race and they've just
Yeah.
where
So
can we
they're
go and get
retiring.
away from the rest of the world? I'll go to the bottom of the world in New Zealand. You know?
Yeah,
Where it's still like it's first world kind of
yeah,
living and all that.
Mm.
It's not like living in Asia. It's
right.
very orderly, stable.
I'd like that part.
Orderly and stable.
Organization will set you free.
Orderly and stable. You like the sound of that?
I like Wales. I want to go to Wales.
Oh, you
I
see a
wanna
lot
go
of
to
whales.
Wales.
You see whales where I'm from. You see
Yeah.
whales and you see penguins where I'm
Dolphins
from. And dolphins.
and
Oh,
seals.
I come from the sea.
I like
See,
dolphins.
Aaron would be all about the dolphins.
Whales or whales?
I wanted to go to Wales, like
Oh,
W-A-L-E-S.
Wales, England, or
And you said you see whales
Dolphins.
and dolphins.
Wales? Yeah.
Keegan and I want to buy a house in Wales.
Aw.
That was funny.
Actually, it's funny because people compare Welsh people to Kiwis.
Really?
They call us, like in England, the Welsh are, they call them sheep shaggers.
Yeah.
And we are called by Australians sheep shaggers. We
Really?
have a very, we're affectionate towards sheep.
Oh, is that what it is? You're affectionate towards sheep?
Yeah. We love them.
You have an
We got
interesting
10
look on your face right
We got
now.
10 million sheep and 4 million people. What do you expect?
I bought New Zealand butter today,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, Anchor.
yeah, the whatever I get from the
Probably Anchor.
yeah, I think it's Anchor because they have salted and unsalted.
Yeah.
But I was buying the Irish butter,
Yeah.
thinking I might like it because it was softer.
Yeah.
I do not.
Okay.
It's very bland.
It's very bland,
Yeah.
and so we went back to New Zealand butter.
It's more like margarine than
Yeah. Yeah.
buttery.
Yeah. For dairy products, New Zealand is good, and New Zealand butter and cheese is still good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had New Zealand cheese.
Yeah, you don't get a lot here. It's not.
I
really
tend to
important.
stick with Wisconsin.
Yeah. Well, yeah, America has nice cheese.
Uh-oh.
You guys do a lot of cheddar, right? Like
Yeah.
cheddar's famous in America, right? Even the cheese that we eat is Irish or American.
Yeah, the Wisconsin.
Actually,
cheddar.
no.
Yeah.
American cheese is American.
Yeah.
And
Wisconsin
that's
cheese.
that's actually
Yeah.
not cheese.
Yeah.
It's really just a lot of oil.
Processed oil
Okay.
and cheese.
Not so good. Yeah. Okay.
But
Honestly.
we have the cheddar,
Yeah.
different cheddars and curds and all that stuff.
So you're not a big
Nothing
fan-
American is
I found
authentic.
I saw Kraft slices
So you're not a big
in
fan of.
Eon,
Yeah.
There's got to be something good.
and I was like,
produce
oh my
from
Really?
gosh, but they're
Really?
6 and a
Like
half.
what?
Yeah,
I don't know.
and
you
they're
tell
so
me.
expensive.
There's nothing like produced in America that's good. I've got an American friend who always raves about it.
Oh
You
God!
see, well, craft beers.
Beer.
Beer.
Craft
Really?
Beer.
The people who actually make good beer in the world laugh at American beer. They laugh at anything American
I would
that's
say you're
beer.
being very honest, but I've got American friends who boast. Now I can tell them they're full of shit. 'Cause
They
They
are
are full of
I
shit.
got an American friend who I'll tell them. I'm like, yeah,
Full
because I've always been
of
No, no,
suspicious
no.
of it.
No.
I've got friends from Portland, Oregon.
Yeah,
And they
okay.
always claim
Yeah.
that Portland, Oregon is total hipster.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it is,
yes,
it is.
We
yes.
have all
yes.
the craft beers. We have the best coffee roasters.
Sure,
in the
sure,
world.
sure. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I have disputed that with them. But
No,
they
no, no.
claim that it is.
But see, the problem with that Americans have is they think that where they're from is the world.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's just the United States, or it's just Seattle, or it's just Washington.
Yeah.
It's not all
Oh,
across.
yeah,
So
it's a state.
when you talk about, say, the craft beer, sure, good craft beers are coming from the West Coast.
Yeah.
They're coming from all over the United States.
Heck, Michigan
I have
has
no
actually
problem
won
with that.
awards
Yeah.
for their craft beer.
But as far as beer in the world,
Yeah, yeah.
they like don't even register.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's gonna be Germany and.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. They are not anywhere near
Yeah.
the kind of good beer.
Yeah.
Same thing with coffee.
Yeah.
Right.
Really, you're importing beans from another place. You think you're making better coffee than they make in Ethiopia? Really?
Yeah.
They've been doing it for like ever.
Yeah.
Like they're the first
Well, I would,
in the
I
world.
I would say you're absolutely right.
Turkey?
I think you
Ooh,
guys are quite
I wanna
honest
try
Americans. I think that I've met a lot of
Us,
Americans
it's
on my
very
journeys that
strong.
are exactly what you said. They're very confident about their produce.
Well,
It's like,
because-
have you tried? And we argue with them. Like we're like, have you tried anything from New Zealand? Like you
Right.
realize that we are one of the most famous dairy producing countries in the world. They're like, nah, America's better.
No.
So you guys are just honest. You
No
guys
way.
are honest.
Well,
about
see,
it.
okay,
Like,
okay. As far as say
I'm a farm girl.
dairy things, I can't tell you if one is better than the other.
Yeah.
But I would never presume to think
Mm-hmm.
that what happens in America is better than something that's outside of America. Now, everybody's going to have their taste.
Yeah.
If you grew up on one, you're going to think that that one is better than the other.
Yeah.
Okay, let
I
me-
got that. I get that. I get that 100%. But what is happening in America in our food, like
Yeah.
this thing I was talking about with Jingdong, this stuff with food in America, most of our American, what we call American food, is really not food
Yeah.
No.
by any classification. I mean, the Anthony Bourdains and all
Yeah.
the people that
Yeah.
go all across the world to talk about food, they're always telling you that crap that we're eating in America is just not food.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everywhere, I mean, if Thailand
Yeah.
street food is
Oh,
better
yeah,
than
yeah.
food in
Yeah.
America. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, we've
it's
seen
just.
the documentaries.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
see that France has a butter shortage?
But
Really?
Because
France
they give
has-
so
listen,
much freaking butter.
France has 10 different types of butter.
And it's not a short?
freaking
And
butter
they have a
shortage.
butter shortage.
Have you ever seen how they make croissants?
A lot.
They use a lot.
They
Yeah.
puff
Like
pastry.
10 pounds of butter.
Yeah, like
So
puff
how do you
pastry,
get
they
that?
use so much butter, and right now France is having a butter shortage.
Yeah.
Like they have entire sections of the supermarket like closed off because they don't have enough butter. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, I want to know where they're going to start getting their butter. Are they going to get it from Ireland? Are they going to get it from New Zealand?
Mm.
Because they need one. They have to have that sweet. They have to have the salty. They have to. They have to have the different textures of the butter. Where are they going to get it? I can promise you they aren't getting it from the States.
Right.
Well, that would be like their last choice or whatever.
Because
Yeah.
I grew up like with
Yeah.
my grandmother being British. she would not use margarine. It had to be butter, and it had to be slightly salted, and it couldn't be anything cheap. This is just how she was. If it was on sale, she didn't care. She only bought this one brand all the time, my entire life. That's what I ate. And then when I started tasting other things, I was like, well, that one's good, but I like this one, and I like this one, but this one's not okay. And so I know that they're not going to go to the United States for butter because the taste just is so different.
Yeah.
And it's so full of chemicals.
Right.
We pump hormones into our cows so much, and we feed them grains that they shouldn't be eating. And
Oh, wait a minute. We're also feeding cows
Corn.
dead
Corn.
cows.
Yeah, they feed them other cows.
And we're also
and they
feeding
grind-
cows dead chickens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they feed them things they shouldn't be eating, which
Yeah.
then taints the taste and taints the
For all those
products
people
and-
out there that don't understand, cows are vegetarian.
Yeah, they should only eat grass.
Yeah, they shouldn't be eating meat. They shouldn't be eating other cows.
They shouldn't be eating
Animals.
corn.
Yeah.
Corn
Yeah,
kills cows.
Yeah, corn rots out their stomach.
Yeah,
and
it gives them E.
and then
coli.
they pump them with antibiotics. We saw the documentary
Yep.
on that.
Yeah.
And then they
King
harvest
corn.
them.
King
Yep,
corn,
yep.
yeah. And
They
then
slaughter right before they're about to die.
Yeah, they just
Yep.
pump them up with antibiotics.
Yep.
And then just slaughter them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
just
then we
talked
eat
about
them.
king corn yesterday.
And then the other side of that is the steroids that they use to get them to grow larger,
And to
like our
produce more
chickens.
milk.
Then we eat it and we get giants like that. That's what happens.
Aaron is
You're a
only
product of the American
yes.
diet.
He's
Yes.
only 15 years old.
Yeah.
He's taller than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
twice
bigger
your
than almost
size.
everybody in my family.
Too much steroids from the meat.
I don't.
But he doesn't eat beef or
I don't
pork.
eat the pork.
He's never had beef in his life. He's never had pork.
Except for that one
Except for that one
sandwich.
time.
Can't be-
One sandwich.
Yeah.
He had a bite of
That one
his
sandwich
friend's
with lots of
sandwich.
steroids in it.
But fish, chicken, and tofu is all he's ever
The
had.
only cooked animal I'll eat is lamb.
Yeah.
That's it.
But that's he's not. It's not because he's been eating American meat.
No, we
No.
did.
That's not. Yeah. But you guys grew up on it.
Of course.
Right. I grew up on a farm. I mean, there were 500 cows in my backyard.
Yeah.
We raised pigs, and there were chickens, and
Talking about that, about American meat, I remember one argument I had with my friend, he's a guy from Oregon. The American bacon is often like, because he was raving about American bacon, it's very crispy and very. They
yeah.
fry it so it's almost crunchy. And he
Yeah,
said
I don't
that's
like it
normal.
like that.
He was like, no, that's fucking great. This is how we have
No.
it. This is American. And he bought me imported American bacon. We tried, me and an Australian friend of mine, Dave McGann, and we were like, what is this? And it was like you could break it like a biscuit.
No.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, no, that's American bacon. That's
Yeah.
how we have it. And he was raving. He said, no, this is great bacon. And me and the Aussie guy were like, no,
No.
like this is not what we're used to. Like we were being polite, obviously, but we were like, that ain't great bacon. Like,
No.
In Australia, this would be shit. This would be like crackling on the side. You know, we would call it crackling
Yeah, yeah.
or crackly.
But our
Yeah,
bacon
that's
is
just-
very thin, whereas the rest of the world's is usually
thicker.
some version of the same cut, sliced
Yeah.
thicker
So, yeah.
to not.
And it would be soft. We would,
Yes.
Right,
and there
right.
would be a bit of fat on it, of
Mhm.
course, on the rim, but it would be kind of flat.
Well, we like
This was crispy, like
we would only eat turkey bacon,
yeah.
and even when I was a kid, my mom wouldn't make the bacon that crispy because I wouldn't eat it. But they usually cook the pork like that to kill the worms inside.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because all pork has worms.
Because if you get a pork chop from my uncle,
Yeah.
it's about the color of my laptop, and when you drop it, it'll sound like my phone hitting the floor.
Yeah. Just dense.
Which
It's
Aaron
been
mostly
cooked
Aaron's
every-
family doesn't eat
yeah.
pork anymore.
Yeah.
Because it had worms.
Well, all pork does.
Gross.
All,
All
pork,
pork
does.
has worms.
It's just a matter of how do you cook it. Now, coming out of a slave tradition, the worst cuts of the meat, they were cooking it because cooking it down like that killed the worms, and it also essentially tenderizes the shit out of a bad cut of meat. But yeah, there was always that worry that it was going to make you sick, so you had to cook it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why if you look at people, Americans, if you see a white guy in a restaurant he's like, give it to me rare,
Yeah.
medium rare. Most restaurants won't cook it rare anymore. They'll stop at medium rare. Okay, medium rare. That's a bloody ass piece of meat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you cut it, blood will run out.
Yeah.
Most black people in America think that is unhealthy. That is dangerous. Now, anybody who's ever worked in a kitchen knows that if you raise the temperature to a certain point, you've killed everything.
Yeah.
Right.
But it can still be bloody.
Yeah.
Right.
But you've killed everything in it.
I'm not eating that.
But most people they can't get past that mouthfeel, the texture,
Yeah.
and it's got to be cooked to the point where you can cut into it, but you're going to be sawing into this meat.
Yeah.
I mean, good cuts of meats destroyed in the cooking process, and you're going to be cutting into this meat, and you're going to be like, like it's shoe leather.
Yeah.
That's a cultural thing because it's born out of a time when they just knew that undercooked meat was going to make you sick.
Yeah. And you can't afford
So
it.
your friend probably doesn't even know that. He doesn't know why his bacon
It's
is like
crispy like a
is
biscuit.
like a
Yeah.
you know
I
like
always
a,
thought that was unusual.
Yeah.
He considered that good American. It was imported from America, and he said that's how we eat our bacon. He said that's American. That's
I would say that kind of bacon is that is how people cook it because it starts out flat and long,
Yeah.
about that long,
Yeah.
and then they get it and it's about that big
Yeah.
and it's crinkled up
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's
Crispy as
very
well.
crispy.
Yeah,
that
very
is.
crispy.
I mean,
I don't like
if
it.
you say there's something American, that's kind of
You
it.
can hold it like a stick.
Yeah, I don't like it like
Well,
that.
we kind of said politely, that this is not the bacon we know. Like, what is this? He was like, that's how we eat it, man.
I would agree with him. That's how it's eaten.
Yeah.
Keegan.
But I mean, I guess if you thought about it,
Yeah.
if you took a cut of meat, you're gonna max up. I think about American and how Americans think about business. I can cut that meat 2 millimeters thick, or I can cut that meat 1 millimeter thick.
Yeah.
Which one am I gonna do to maximize the most amount of profit that I can make?
It's all about
1 millimeter.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna do that. You're gonna slice it really thin, and
comes
people are
from
gonna
money.
buy it and at the same price. And you're getting the 2 millimeter for the same price as my 1 millimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I just think it's all bullshit.
It's all what?
It's all bullshit.
It's just bullshit.
Bullshit.
It is bullshit. That's for sure.
Well, we got a bus to catch.
Oh, yeah, what time does the
Before
bus finish?
10:30.
No idea. It's 10:30.
Would you like some
Use
All right.
your bathroom?
Say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.
Goodbye.
We'll have
You want to use the bathroom, Suvina, before you go?
I'm good. You
Want a
have
bus ride?
Yes.
that long,
Long
ride.
bus
That
ride.
long ride. Don't you know women have bladders like camels? Bye, people. We out.
I'm sure Amigo that Max sweater is out.
Oh no.
What time do you usually go to bed? The way past your bedtime.
Who's bedtime?
Keegan's bedtime.
Oh, no.
She
No,
said
no.
she goes to bed at 8.
She goes to bed early. I usually go to bed at 8.
I went.
You want to take some brown and tell
I would
All right, we
love
out.
to.
Peace.
I'll take the whole plate.
This is going to be a pain in the ass to fucking edit.
Yeah, well. Wow. That's over like what, 3, almost 4 hours?
2 bags.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, hello.